Greetings, pilots and passengers. Welcome to the second episode of the Dare to Talk podcast with my great friend, who's afraid. We're back again. Today we're going to be talking...
In the zone.
Yeah, we're in the zone. Today we're going to be talking about our spiritual awakening journeys and how we have got to where we are today. So, would you like to start with yours?
No.
Okay.
Sorry. thought I'd throw you a curveball there and
yeah, I'll accept that curveball.
Sorry about that, mate.
No, it's all right. Well, it's all fun and games here.
Yeah, I mean, there was a post that came up, I think this morning or last night, on the tweet box, something along the lines of, I can't remember. But it was a meme that was put up. It was this morning. It was a meme that was put up. And I can't remember the wording of the meme, but I responded with "all my life" in response to this meme. And it's something.
I think I remember which one. I saw you tweet. I can't remember the. Is it something about like?
It's some old dude in a grey photograph, and then this big long worded paragraph
saying about being a bit different to
and it's I wouldn't say that I have any what we could be termed as abilities or anything like that. Just this something isn't quite right, or it doesn't sit with the way I think or feel. And I've always wanted to know why. In the last video, we talked about, I worked in the insolvency industry, so I found out about the banking industry. So that was a kind of a wake-up call. Then my old man passed away from heart disease, and so I got involved in the health side of life, and that's been a wake-up call. But it was tying everything together. The health, the banking, and then in kill brackets to finally figure out that, oh my God, just how much have we been lied to over the years, and just how much of my feeling of something isn't quite right has been on the nail, if you like. And it took this year to get that sorted out. When March kicked off, all this kicked off in March, and I started looking, and then went through that entire range of emotions that I think everybody has gone through. For many, they're still going through it. Hence my kicking up the backside on Twitter of switch off the MSM and all that sort of stuff. But we won't go over that today. But and now leading to that's led me to this point, and this is kind of come into place in the last month or so of just being at peace and letting my intuition and my gut instinct take over.
Do you think part of you has always kind of been aware that something's not quite right even before you started really sort of realizing it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's a guy that's going to come on, Pat Walsh, Uncle Pat, I'm going to call him, great Uncle Pat, and I'm looking forward to talking to him because his Twitter bio just says just up for life, and something else, but I can't remember what that is because I'm crap with memory stuff. But when I put up that tweet with that grey photograph and the big long paragraph underneath it, and all my life, he responded and said, "Mine too." So there's many of us out there that have had this, and we've all been keeping quiet about it because we're a little bit worried about what other people think. And the great thing about this year is it's helped us all to step up and say, do you know what? We're not worried about it anymore. We really are not worried about it anymore. And it's so nice just having that feeling inside of, it's not about being right. It's
Mm.
just, well, it is. That's the only way to say it. That I've been right. I have been right. I've been right. Pat's been right. You've been right. All the people that are out there stepping up and going, I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. They've been right. And there was a great, 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 great meme that came up a couple of days ago. Hug a conspiracy theory
Yes.
because we're fucking right. That's superb, absolutely brilliant. So tell the world about you and how you've got, and then we'll lapse even further into the conversation and go from there.
Well, it's where to start, really. I think in
Because
terms,
yours is you're I'd like to say you're a little bit different, but you're not really. You just have some different things that happen for you.
here's a
Yeah.
good way to look at it. Yeah, I think, well, for me, I started my journey all started really down thanks to my family, because they sort of raised me to be more open-minded and aware. So when I was little, they would always encourage me to think outside of the box and sort of question things. I think part of that was, a lot of it came from my dad, because he was very into the conspiracy side of things. I mean, he has loads of books on like David Icke and all that. So he's been sort of looking into this since he was, my age and probably younger, really. So he always sort of has known that things in this world aren't what they appear to be. And my mum as well is very in tune and very open-minded as well. And both of them, when they're both classed as spiritualists, so believing that life exists once you die, once you're gone. And none of that was pressed on to me when I was little. They just sort of said you can believe whatever you want to believe. And, whether that be, being a Christian, not believing in anything at all, it's completely fine. But through them being so, through being raised so open-minded and having such spiritual parents, I naturally kind of slipped into that, really, because, it's hard, it's difficult to ignore, researching these things. As when I was younger, I did start looking into it myself, and I had experiences when I was little that I just can't explain. And I mean, I still remember some of my first ones, and I still can't explain them. And I think from there,
Can I sorry to chop in there?
yeah,
Can I ask you what experiences? Because this is the
yeah.
thing that I'm really keen to find out
So
and
it was a spooky experiences
learn.
when I was little, and the same with my brother, especially my brother when he was sort of toddler age, and I was the same when we were both really young. We would have uh, paranormal experiences and be able to be more in tune and things. And as we've sort of gotten older, and you're sort of more aware of the physical 3D world, you don't really pay attention as much, I guess.
Mm.
But when I was little, I mean, my dad remembers more than me. Same with my mum, about when I was a baby, things happening, and me
Such
being able,
as
sort of pointing at people and over their shoulder who aren't there and saying, "Who's that man?" Or, my brother did that quite a lot. My brother had a sort of, I don't want to say invisible friend, but it was like a protector he always used to call Cloud Fluff, that would come over him over the night and look after him. And it was something that was physically there that he could see, but no one else could see.
yeah.
For me, it was my first experience that I remember, and I must have been like 7 or 8, one that it was one of the first proper experiences that is so clear in my mind. We were having like a dinner party, sort of had family over, and it was like a garden party, so we had like a buffet, and it was getting later to the evening, and my grandma and granddad were going home, and me and my brother were upstairs, and we were in his room, and I think we wasn't playing hide and seek, but we thought it'd be funny if we both hide under his bed covers, and then when my mum and dad come upstairs looking for us, we just hide and pretend that we've disappeared and jump out at them. So, just doing that. So me and him were both there, and my parents were both downstairs. So it was just us upstairs. And it went really quiet, and I was like, Fred, go be quiet, because we need to be quiet so we can jump out at them. And then I heard a voice, a woman's voice, going, Freddie, Freddie. That was my brother's name. And I thought it was my mum, so I jumped out to scare my mum, but there was no one there. So then I was like, I was a bit like, Mum, Mum? We're here, where are you? And sort of, so then I was really confused, and I ran downstairs, and my mum was downstairs, and I told her what had happened, and I said, but you were upstairs saying Fred's name to us and calling him out, and she was like, no, I wasn't, I was down here the whole time, like, what are you on about? And then my dad thought, my dad was like, oh, tell us what happened, and I mean, I think I said to my mum and dad, could I sleep in one of your guys' bed? Can I sleep in your bed tonight? Because I was really freaked out by it. But that was like my first, hearing something sort of experience. And then from then on, I always just sort of knew that there was, because there's only so much that, your parents telling you this exists, that exists, maybe think about life differently, and I believed it, and they would tell me of experience I had when I was like 2 or 3, but obviously you can't remember that far back. So to have that happen, it was like, that was like, I know now that this is all a thick plumbing thing going off, but I knew this is all genuinely.
That's cool that it's going off. This is not scripted bullshit, or we're not an anchor man with a tie and all that crap. I keep pushing my glasses. Somebody, a friend of mine the other day, said about take your glasses off. No, fuck off. I like my glasses. If I keep doing that, it's because I'm rare and very focal. So when I'm sat looking at you like this, you're blurry. So when I do that, you come into focus, and then I'll go back down again. So you've been very fortunate with your parents, encouraging you in that way, and encouraging you to have an open mind. Do you think that getting hooked into the 3D world, going out, getting a job, earning some money, getting a mortgage, do you think that all of that, kind of knocks that attachment or that side of things out of people?
Yeah, I think because if you are so busy and you're constantly doing things, you don't notice, the other side as much. I definitely feel like someday, I mean, I've said to my dad before, like, I haven't had anything spooky happen in such a long time, something that I can physically see or maybe feel or hear, and you're just there like, please guys, come on, do something. And usually most of the time they have, but you're just not looking because you're just so busy. And I think with people having jobs and people, always out all the time, not being at home and having to work, do all these things that at the end of the day, once you pass on and die, won't really matter or mean anything.
No.
You're not aware because you're not having time in the day to actually think about that or focus on that or put your mind to trying to notice things. It's as simple as like if someone had 20 minutes, but I know it's easy to say just meditate for 20 minutes in the day, but then it's the same as saying to some people just go for a run for 20 minutes. Some people just won't do that because they feel that that's way too much time in the day and that they don't have time for that. I mean, I think we're all sort of fall victim to that as we say, oh, I'll do meditation 20 minutes a day and get more in tune, but it's easy, it's
but then
really.
if you're doing the 20 minutes of meditation a day, it's that in itself can be a pressure and a stress. I've got to get my meditation in today, so that I can attach or go and find my spiritual side. And for me personally, it's just about letting go of that sort of thing. Let it go so that you can find your way rather than.
Problem with. Yeah. I think that is completely the problem with how spooky and spiritual stuff and becoming more in tune has been like sort of pushed on people. Is that they think that in order to become more aware, in order to have experiences, in order to develop yourself, you must, be there doing yoga and spiritual and all this sort of new age sort of stuff. When it's like, it pretty much, or for me, it's completely try to bend over and you're not flexible enough, so you're just like, just stuck there.
Touch your toes.
No.
Oh, sorry, didn't mean that to happen. Sweaty yoga. Yoga.
Yeah, I would have said a creaky floorboards, that was.
And that's not a diss to yoga or people that practice yoga or anything like that. Let's clear that up so that nobody gets offended.
Yeah.
And if you have got offended, good.
But yeah, I think this whole sort of new age aspect to it that I definitely think has flourished. That people think if they want to become more in tune and sort of develop themselves as like sort of personal development and just health and well-being and mental health sort of stuff with meditation and yoga, they think that they have to just jump in and be doing all of that, when like you said, it's as simple as just stop worrying, just let go, just do the things you enjoy, because then if you start doing that, everything else will just follow, really.
Stop, don't be scared. And I would encourage people to, find channels like this where you can come along and go, I get it. Oh yes, thank you. Look for that, because when you open your mind and you start thinking from here, and all I'm doing is I'm just a regurgitator at the end of the day of other stuff that I'm hearing, that I'm learning. But the stuff that I'm regurgitating and I'm learning is right. Start using this a little bit more, but come from here. Put the worry to bed, and it's that. What's the word? The law of attraction, and you will find the people. You will find them. They will come to you. Absolutely, they will come to you. I got to admit, for the last couple of days, I've been a bit on edge. So my mojo, if you like, has disappeared. So it's good to be talking and getting that back this morning.
Yeah, it's good.
Finding that peace again, because the peace disappeared for a day or two. Especially with what happened up in London yesterday. We won't go further.
We
won't go further. We won't go further. So suffice to say that this is with regard to that, this now is the time and the prime opportunity to be taking full advantage of doing something about that. Not to sit there and go, oh, that's disgraceful behaviour. Not for the police can't. That's not allowed to be done. Fuck off. Just, stop bitching and be concentrating on getting something done about it.
It's as simple as, getting something done is as simple as sort of noticing that it's happening
Sure.
That's like the first step, really. If someone knows it's wrong, you've
Yeah.
taken some form of action to realize that. Then
Sure.
the step from there would be to, well, if you know it's wrong, can you speak out about it? Do you have a
Yeah.
place where you can share your thoughts on that?
Yeah.
That would be, and it's like some people say, well, I'd like to take action, but I don't want to go do protesting or do this. It's like, well, you don't have to. If you're not comfortable enough to do that,
Don't do it.
just find others who think the same way as you, and
Yeah.
form a group together and
Yeah.
share your
But
thoughts.
don't sit there. I would encourage people not to sit there and go into into the zone of, um, you know, we're all shit scared, and we're going to stay shit scared, and we're going to let it affect us in that way. That's not going to be of any benefit to you in any way at all. It's about finding a solution and an answer to come out of that, and looking for that, and moving yourself away from that. And that's when things start to fly in your direction. That's when things start to take off for you. But I want to get back to we're diverted. You're
A little
getting away
bit, just
from.
a little bit.
Yeah, we are. We've gone into, or I have anyway. I don't know about you, but So I'd like to know, because you guys, you and your family, you hold a circle each week. You happy to talk about that? Yeah, you hold a circle each week.
Yeah.
And there's been some interesting stuff coming out. And the interesting stuff that's coming out is pretty much along the same lines as all the other interesting stuff that's coming out from people that hold circles, if you like, and are in the same world as you and I. Could you give us a little bit more about it? Because it's looking rather good, isn't it?
Yeah. So just to clarify, if people don't know what a circle is, it's a spiritual development circle, and there's two types of circles. There's an open circle and closed circle. So an open circle is anyone can go to it. If there's a spiritualist church near you or spiritualist centre, they usually run open circles. It's where you go with others to practice mediumship and different forms of spirit communication, and to get sent to give and receive messages. It's just practice, essentially. Whereas closed circle it's formed within a smaller group of people who will meet up outside of spiritualist centre to just do the exact same thing, but of course you have to be sort of invited to go to it. So, I mean, a bit of background on that is my dad has been involved in circles. Particularly, there was I think it was in a closed circle he was a part of for a good 10, 15, 20 years. I mean, he's been part of it for 20 years, one of them. And then same with my mum, has been part of a closed circle for almost 10 years, I'd say. And when I was in GCSE sort of years, I got invited to attend a few of the ones my mum goes to. And from there, I would go every week up until really leaving uni. So that's a good few years there. And then when we got when I got back home from uni, well, actually, when was it? Let me think. Timeline. From, I'd say, the start of my third year of uni, me and my dad started our own circle, just me and him, over Skype at uni, just in my tiny little room, and we'd do it from there in January. And then coming home now, we've just continued it in person each week. So the stuff we do is usually more physical communication. My dad's a lot better than me at direct communication. It depends how I feel. Some days I'm all right at direct, some days I'm pretty pants. But for me, it's more physical. So we'll do like automatic writing. I'll hold the pen and then just let it flow. And then we do Ouija boards, table tipping, all these things people say get you possessed. It's a load of bollocks. I'm sorry. It's not like that, guys.
Let's dispel that bullshit straight away.
These are tools of physical communication. Once you know the risks and how to do it safely, you'll be fine. You can get some really good information from it. But yeah,
if your head starts turning on your shoulders, I will be
any second now.
Any second now. Please don't vomit on camera.
No. But yeah, so in our circle of the past few weeks, it's got more and more along the same sort of messages keep coming through. It's always been very positive. It's nothing really anything negative. I mean, I was saying to you before that we've had a few occasions where we couldn't get through because there's people on the other side, dark people on the other side, groups who are very good at interfering on occasion. But we've got really positive messages sort of about December, especially being a really big month. December being a very positive month, not just because there was a lot of personal messages involved in that for me and how this channel is going, but also for just the world as a whole, that's saying that the pain we're going through now is necessary to get to the other side, which will be just love and light, and everything will be for the people, and it'll be focused on us rather than them. And
can I ask you something? It's not just this stuff that we're going through. It's not just here on this earthly plane that it's happening, is it?
No.
And this is, I was listening to Michael Jaco the other day, and I know you listened to him as well, and he's saying the same thing. The war, if you like, it's not just happening here, it's happening everywhere. Could you touch on that a little bit more?
Yeah, so in a few of our recent circles, last couple of weeks, it's been a bit of background would be we get usually the same sort of people who come through, one of which is my Uncle Andrew. Some of our other guides, we always get our circle guide called Aslan, who's like a gatekeeper. He basically sits and lets people who are supposed to come through and wards off all the idiots.
Just for the Narnia fans out there, it's not the big lion.
It's not. It's not the lion.
It's not the lion.
We have this thing where when someone new comes through at Circle, we will give them an opportunity to spell out their name, and usually they have names that aren't human, and it will be very difficult to try and spell it in the English language.
Right.
So they always give themselves a little nickname that we can understand and associate with them, hence why he chose Aslam. But yeah, we get the same people come through, and the last few weeks, some of the people who usually come through haven't really come through as much. But we've always asked about that, and they've said, well, we've been very busy. So, and we asked, well, what's going on? And it says, well, they have a lot of stuff to do on the other side. The other side is a lot like here. They have roles, they have jobs that they have to fulfill to keep things going over there. But right now, there's a major spiritual warfare taking place, which, I mean, the term as above, so below came through, not in terms of the occult, not the occult meaning, but as the upstairs is the same as what's going on here. Your physical warfare that's taking place on Earth and all this corruption being exposed is exactly what's happening on the other side too. And they're having to battle it.
Sorry to keep cutting into you, sweetheart, but you say a word and I just want to go touch on that word and get something clarified for people. Occult.
By occult, I mean what the stereotypical type of occult is. It's associated with more negative groups, sort of
cutting a chicken's head off and all that.
Yeah, that sort of thing. That's what I mean when I say occult. I know the word occult is, it's not always bad, but I'm using it in this term as to refer to sort of more negative.
can I ask? Would you say that the word the a cult, if you like, has been taken and inverted, bastardized
Yeah,
by certain
definitely.
groups, and
Definitely.
it's not actually a thing? Is that a correct thing to say, or
What do you mean it's not actually a thing?
it's purely because to me, you take the word occult and just label it onto the inversion that they've created.
Yeah, definitely. I think that
Would you?
it's
Can I ask? Would you say that inversion is also not as powerful as its opposite?
yeah, it's not powerful. The things that they do is, I mean, they for the darker side, they have to do essentially a lot of rituals and a lot of stuff that, I mean, every ritual has a price,
Hmm.
and in their terms has a sacrifice. It doesn't have to be a physical sacrifice, but yeah, it doesn't have the same power as, but they've built the word occult. When you say occult, everyone automatically assumes that it's something really dark and that it's really dangerous and something like a Ouija board, for example. Everyone will say, well, that's associated with the occult
Yeah.
sort of
Bullshit.
thing. But it's like just another, words have more power than the actual thing
Hmm.
itself. It's what but in this instance, when I say cult, I mean the negative, because I just think it's an easy word to sort of describe what I'm trying to say, I guess.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. So back to, sorry to get you away from that. So back
It's all
to
right.
the good stuff, if you like. December's looking really good. And where
Yeah.
were we actually? Let's go back to where we were.
Spiritual warfare was what I was sort of saying.
Brilliant, fantastic.
But yes, this major spiritual warfare over there right now, and it's just so busy and so hectic, and they're doing it. The way they're fighting it is a lot like the way we sort of fight it, but a bit more creative.
Right.
Because the way it was, when we first started really hearing about it, was we were doing a circle and we were doing automatic writing, and I drew a picture of it was my friend who's now in spirit. He's called Brad, and
Right.
he was stood with a cape on the back of a T-Rex, and the T-Rex was holding guns, and the T-Rex was also on rollerblades. And I thought, what is this? Of course, it's something Brad would come up with, because he would do that. But it was, it's like, well, so that's them sort of saying, well, we're at war over here. And I said, well, why have you drawn that? And it's like, well, that's how I'm fighting it, as in, because thoughts over there have so much power and they're not limited by physical ways of fighting. The way they fight is through thoughts, because thoughts will become sort of real over there,
Yep.
hold a lot of power. So they're just battling it however they want to do it, because obviously light has a lot of power. So why they sort of said, why not have fun with it while we're doing it and make it
That's fine.
into something enjoyable, because they don't want to be doing that.
No.
Just get that clear, they don't want to be at war having to
No.
fight this fight, but they know, they repeated this of, pain is necessary right now. It's necessary to go through this pain to get
To
to the
wake us
other
all up.
side.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, there was a picture of, my friend Brad on the back of a T-Rex on rollerblades, and he was flying around like Superman. And they're doing that, and they're having fun with it,
Yeah.
because obviously they don't want it to be something really depressing and dark, because they know that if they treat it in such a dark way, they are just falling victim to what the darker side want, essentially, which is negativity. So,
Yeah.
I mean, there
It's
was
the
a
same.
pit.
It's the same. It's the same this side, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
the same
exactly
here.
the same.
Exactly the
If
same.
if we sort of fall victim to thinking negatively about things and being fearful and being scared, but also I think anger as well, that's all negative energy that
Yeah.
you're just wasting and essentially giving to them. So
Yeah.
if we stay positive about things, then they have less energy to use, really.
I kind of view anger from a personal point of view. I kind of view anger from it's a catalyst.
Yeah, I
Fine,
think angry.
get angry,
If
but use it
yeah,
to move yourself on.
if you get angry but have no sort of genuine heart in that anger and a positive way to get it out,
Yeah,
then
that's
it's
what.
bad.
Yeah,
But if you're
that's it.
using that anger and acting on it in a positive way, that it's
Yeah,
fueling you up and getting you going,
yeah.
then that's different from just anger, which is putting out negativity. So yeah,
That's it. Yeah, brilliant, fantastic.
but
Thank you for clarifying that for me. That I couldn't get the words out, and you just
yeah, trying
hit the
to
nail on the
word
head.
it.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
But yeah, so they're fighting this positively. There was another drawing, and this is the thing I've been saying to you about. I have so many pages and pages and
Mm,
pages of all of this writing and drawing from my circles from when I was doing my channeling,
yeah,
and a lot of it I can't share, but
yeah.
I mean, I'm hoping
But
one day I can
you
do
did
stuff with it.
you shared one the other night, didn't you?
Yeah, with you and our
Yeah,
friend.
yeah, yeah. Our friend. Yeah, there is a third member of our team, and he was going to be with us doing these videos, um, but at the last minute declined for his own reasons,
Yeah.
of which we very much understand. But we one day hope, really hope that he comes on, because he is such an interesting
He
individual.
is.
And he's got so many stories and so many things to talk about. I had a conversation with him by phone a couple of nights back, and it was good to catch up with him again. And he was a bit fired up, and he's looking forward to coming out the other side of this. But we do hope that he comes on board, because I'm, if you like, M is the uh, it's what's the word? It's a bit like the deep state. There's the Vatican, the City of London Corporation, and the District of Columbia in America. M is the Vatican. The other guy is our other friend is, if you like, the City of London Corporation, and I'm the District of Columbia. The District of Columbia provides the muscle in the trio. Not that there's much in that way of me, but strong in arm, thick in head. So that gives you an idea of where we all come from. Where we all come from. But
It's a funny way of looking at it.
yeah. Well, you put up some of this drawing the other night, for the three of us to have a muse over. And there is another individual that has come through, and obviously we won't say who that individual is, but some of the stuff that you were drawing that he was talking about, or she was talking about, I should say, was very, very interesting, technology-wise.
Yeah.
Are you able to go into a little bit of that, or would you just prefer to say get
I
started?
can say, yeah, I will obviously name who it is,
Oh,
because
of
I
course
mean,
not.
what,
No, no,
trust
no, no.
me, one day it will come out, and I will
Mm,
be, there's videos and videos I can create and all this stuff, and
mhm.
I am eager to do so. I'm
Yeah,
desperate to do so.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but it was on about free energy,
Hmm.
and saying about how a lot of these free energy towers are being put up around the world. It's not just in the US, because I think a lot of people, because a lot of the photos are from the US, and
Yeah.
it's more than the US. I mean, we asked about how many it was, and it was, I'd say, less than, because he came through again the other night, and it was less than about 200 and less, but they're
Hmm.
everywhere. They're absolutely everywhere. And he was, I don't mind saying it, it's a he. It's a
Yeah.
he. Well, can
Yeah.
say that. Sort of talking about how this Trump team is utilizing this technology, aware of Q and utilizing the technology to put this up. It's going to benefit everyone, and there are many businesses in on this. It's not just one business that
No.
is sort of helping out. A lot of businesses are hush hush helping put these free energy towers up and stuff like that. So, and it was just all sorts. I mean, that in terms of technology, it was just sort of saying about how there's so much technology that is being used that Trump is utilizing that we aren't aware of yet, but we will be aware of soon. But of course, a lot of it at the same time has fallen to the other side. So it's not like one side has this technology, both sides have it.
Sure.
We just aren't aware of it yet. And it's stuff that we just really can't comprehend, I guess.
Yeah, can't get our heads around. So, I guess the sort of thing we could say is that if you're happy watching sci-fi movies, it's the sort of stuff that you might see in a sci-fi movie.
Yeah. Definitely.
But this is real.
Yeah, it's real.
Yeah.
I mean, there's times, I think this is the thing on my personal sort of awakening journey and becoming more in tune is through these circles, we still, like me and my dad, when we do it once a week, a proper circle, and then from there we say, well, if we feel up to it, we'll do another one. And it's for us, it's one of them things that's very grounding in terms of if we feel like we're sort of straying away from our path and what we're doing, and we feel a bit, even if we just feel a bit down in the dumps about things, we will say, right, shall we do a circle and just crack on with that? And once we've done it, it's very grounding, and we feel like, I'm so glad we just did that, because now I have more fire and more oomph to keep going. That's the thing why we like doing it, especially my dad. It's the days he just goes, Emily, can we do a circle? Please, can we do a circle tonight? Please. I'm like, all right, yeah, sure. And then he feels really, you feel high in spirits again and feel great to be reminded that there are other people on the other side, on our team, essentially.
Yeah.
And the thing I've found as well throughout this whole thing has been, there's times when we've done it where me and my dad look at each other and we say, is this real, or are we absolutely batshit crazy? Are we insane? Because half of this stuff, I sometimes think, I look back on it and I think, if people saw this, they would put me in a madhouse. They actually would, because it's stuff that it is literally like being in a movie, some of this stuff.
Yeah, but that's the 3D world, world for you, isn't it?
And
they'll slap you in a nut house and, and say, you're raving lunatic.
Exactly. I mean, if I told someone that we've had communication with an alien, they would think, oh, you're absolutely insane.
Yeah.
But
because that was it. I saw one of your videos. Can you about that? Can you go into a little bit more about that?
So this was the communication with an alien video. I remember that was back from like March, April time.
Yeah.
When we sort of early on in our circle, people started coming through who were completely new, we'd never heard of before. One of which was called Phoenix 6, who, through our communication with him, he said he was a Syrian alien. And he came through to tell us about a part of Dare to Fly, and part of the reason we do this is to build a bridge between humanity and aliens, and that this is a channel that will help do that by covering aliens, and he would communicate information to us, and we can then sort of get it out in a way where people can understand it and be at ease knowing that actually aliens are decent. They're sound, really.
Yeah.
So Phoenix 6 was one of them who came through, who's a Syrian, and he was making it clear that he'd been watching what we've been doing for a very long time and was now interested. And that's how it goes with a lot of these people we talk to. They come through a bit sort of shy, and then they'll say, I've been watching you, and I've decided that I actually want to get involved in what you're doing.
Yeah.
And he was one of them, and he was telling us about what he does, he's part of a sort of small fleet of, he's got a crew and he's part of like a small fleet, and they go around doing a lot of rescue missions on Earth. That's all of their whole thing.
Sure.
The rescue missions particularly involving children
Hmm.
and sort of going after them and saving them. He's involved with a lot of that.
Right.
There are sort of a lot of what he told us was about, he has a family, he's got kids, he's got a wife, he's exactly like us.
Right.
And speaking about how aliens have been involved with Earth for hundreds of years, that there are positive races who want to make a difference to the Earth and make contact. They're desperate to actually be able to, be with us and talking like me and you are now. And
I am desperate for them to actually be with us as
exactly, me
well.
too. And
Look
talking
at
about how there are negative aliens too,
of course.
especially the ones everyone says are the lizard aliens. They're called the Draco, and
Okay.
there's different sort of races related to the Draco race too that have negative involvement on Earth. That being, they have made deals with governments in the world that if they give their technology to us, they will get something out of it, like being able to freely come and abduct people and do whatever
Got
they
it.
like with them.
Yep.
Live on Earth in like an underground city. That's one of the races do that.
Yep.
And do what they like, essentially, negatively. So that's been going on for years and years without
Can I ask,
being in public
because
knowledge.
it's easy for me to sit and watch another video and hear someone else say that, but you're not doing that. You're actually, this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just not, you haven't gone out there, and I know you're a journalist, and you research for the work that you do, but let's just clarify something here. This is something that's come to you. It's not because you've gone out there like I would have done, although I'm being guided to do that, and I firmly believe that. Absolutely, firmly believe that. That's why you and I are now working together and talking with each other. And our third team member, hopefully, because it's been guided. I've been pushed in that direction or led in that direction because that's where I want to go, and I've let that intuition take over and pull me in this direction, and I'm so happy that it has.
Yeah.
So happy that it has. But you're not watching other videos and saying, another video said this. This because you've seen it, you've spoken.
Yeah, it's one of them things where a lot of, in terms of aliens, I've seen, me and my dad have always believed that they've been visiting Earth. And we've got that from, watching other people talk about it and sort of discuss their opinions. But going further into it, and a Syrian saying to us about these rescue missions that are taking place where they're taking part in subterranean warfare and doing all this and particularly assisting Trump, may I say, that Trump is actively working with aliens. That
Have you seen a guy called Jason Shirker?
I have not.
You have not. Okay, so he's saying something very much same stuff as you've just said there with regard to an organization he calls TLS, the Light System. Very interesting to listen to him.
The people who are sort of working in a positive way would be everyone who looks into aliens or believes in spirit would sort of say the Galactic Council.
Okay.
Who sort of has had dealings with Earth for a very long time.
Sure.
But back on with Phoenix 6, yeah, he's been in touch. He's said about chips, like that everyone's basically chipped at birth. And it's not one of them chips where you could just feel around on your body and find it and just think. It's technology that isn't it can go beyond our 3D world, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's done when we're at birth. and it's part people who have a lot of mental health issues. I mean, we've asked about my mum, and sort of along her family line, because it is related to bloodline essentially, partially. They're all sort of chipped, and it falls in line with, they have all had some sort of mental health problem or struggle at some point, and it's something that they have suffered with. But also at the same time, they are very spiritual people, are very powerful mediums who are at some points quite limited. So the whole point of people being chipped is to cause sort of affect our minds and affect our spirit, and sort of make it harder for us to do communication, and so act as a limiter essentially. He was saying about that, and how part of Phoenix Six's job has recently, at the time we were speaking to him back in sort of March, April time, was going around and de-chipping people essentially, and it's saying it can be done. For some people it's harder than others to do.
How is he giving an indication of how it can be done?
He just visits people, and when they're asleep, works on them essentially.
Right.
A lot of it's done sort of on the astral body, so when you go out of body, it's sort of done sort of on that. Look, I'd have to look back on my notes because I'm going through from memory, but it's done more on the astral body. And
can I ask how we've been chipped?
So, from what I can remember, being chipped is when you're born, and when they take the baby's blood sample, they prick the feet. Okay. It was sort of implied it's done sort of during that time.
Got it.
During something that happens at the hospital just after you're born.
Right.
Is usually when it occurs, from what we've been told.
Yeah.
And we've been told, what else was we told? That they've got, I'm trying to think now, that they're able to produce chips that are positive as well, as in the aliens have been chipping people as well, but they're good chips. They're good chips, not bad chips.
Yeah, sure.
And
some salt and vinegar.
Yeah. I was just thinking, I was going to say chocolate chips.
I like mine crispy. Thank you very much. And if you're going to fry them, in animal fat only. Thank you. Yeah.
And for a while, they were saying, so we've got these chips, and I'm saying this and I sound bonkers, but we've got these chips, and we could chip you and your dad with them, and if you accept, we can't do it without your permission.
Oh.
Because it was a different type of chip that's not really, I don't want to say it's not being used, but they just want to make sure that we're happy for them to just come and fanny around with us, basically.
Yeah, sure.
So we were like, yeah.
Is this something along the lines of, you have to have my consent?
Get consent, and it was, they said chips that would boost our abilities and have a positive effect on us. Me and my dad wasn't chipped when we were little because of our bloodline.
How come you got off scot-free?
It's to do with your bloodline.
Okay.
And it's also, some people reject it. Some people just, their bodies just reject it, I guess. I've got it written down somewhere. It's all very complicated. I can't really remember.
We can do that again in another video.
Yeah, definitely. So these chips that we got told about, and this is technology that will be made available to everyone eventually.
Sure.
It's not
is this something similar to Elon Musk's Neuralink?
It
stuff.
kind of, I think. I mean, it was. I remember when my dad had an experience. Oh, this. If you ask, I wish my dad could come on, but obviously for work
Yeah,
reasons he cannot because he
can't.
can
Well, you
really
know,
talk about his
that's in
experience.
the future. That's
Yeah,
in the
in the
future.
future. But
Yeah.
he accepted to getting chipped, and he told me one night, this must be back in April sort of time. He said the next day sort of really weird experience happened to him. During the night he woke up and there was a massive floating light ball in front
Yeah.
of him, and then all of a sudden it got really bright and it felt as though something had gone behind his eye, and it was really weird, and he said he could feel it, and that then he disappeared and then he fell asleep.
Yeah.
And I remember around that time, the days after, he would get headaches and he'd pain in his eye and all sorts of stuff and ringing in his ear and all that, sort of associated with like awakening symptoms.
Sure.
And I remember during one night I had sort of an experience where I didn't wake up and see anything, but I sort of woke up the next day and my head was killing and just my body was aching, and it was sort of a similar thing. And from there, my dad's abilities had taken a bit of a increase, and we'd asked about it, and it was they've shoved these chips in us. And my dad's was finding it a bit easier to do communication and stuff like that, and saying that, right, the chips are in now, dad's has been activated.
Yeah.
And keep it going. And
Is this why they're giving you messages about, getting to learn astral projection?
Yeah, I mean, my chip wasn't activated.
Right.
And it was activated for like a week, but then we got in trouble. The aliens, Phoenix 6 got in trouble with the spiritual council for doing it.
Right.
Got in trouble for doing it because they said that he shouldn't have done it.
Oh.
Because this, and he and then they got all soppy in an argument about it. But that's besides the point.
That's great, because it would sit there and think, ooh, oh, the spiritual world. It's comforting to know.
They're like us, guys. They just argue.
As well. Yeah.
They got done for it was all just a big to do of like alien involvement with us, and the aliens were making real good progress of building this bridge.
Yeah.
And then the spiritual council, if people didn't know, there is it's like the Galactic Council but of spirit. Yeah. And it is a hierarchy that is a bit, I don't want to say corrupt, but there's people on that who make very big decisions which aren't always in favor of progress.
Sure.
And this was one of them. And it was that the aliens are interfering and making too much contact with us and doing things that kind of, I don't want to say go against human nature, but I guess in their eyes it did. The spiritual council thought so.
I think that's a good thing. I think that's a good thing, though. I really do.
Well, we did not, because we had plans. There was some big plans in place for future genuine physical meetings of me and my dad being able to sort of meet with Phoenix 6 and stuff. And they got thrown out the window because of that incident. And things got pushed back quite a bit. So it was a bit of a ballser, but what can you do? But my chip didn't get turned on, and there was a period of time when they were saying it's one of them things where they had to turn it on very slowly, because if they did it too soon and all at the once, my body would react to it. And I remember there was a period of time when it was like having not a cold, but ringing in my ears every other day, and just pacing headaches, but in my eye, and just weird stuff. And it was weird, and it was not very nice.
Yeah, I see it a lot of people on Twitter, myself included, sitting there and not sitting there, but are talking about this ringing in the ears.
Yeah, it's a awakening symptom.
It's
That
awakening because it's going on right now in this ear. I'm deaf in this ear. It's about 0.002% hearing ability and 85% in this one. But this one is going right now. It's a constant.
It's like listening to when I was younger.
Yeah,
I went through a phase of my ear would start ringing. One
yeah,
ear would start ringing really loudly, and then it got to the point it was both, just at the most random time would just go off, and it was painful. It
yeah.
was really uncomfortable.
When we say ringing, I mean that's for me a generic word to use. It's not ringing as in like a bell ringing for
It's
me.
it's like hearing a frequency.
That's it.
When I've heard it, I
Yeah,
mean, when I used to get it, there was a period of time when for months I would have it, and it would just constant. And I'd wake up in the middle of the night with it, or I'd have headaches, and
yeah,
just like, I don't
yeah,
know. During that time as well, you pick up on sort of energies more, and things don't sit right with you, and intuition's all out of whack and don't know what's going on.
yeah.
And it sounded to me like, like old TVs when you hear the frequency really high pitched. It's kind of like that,
Yeah.
but it really hits you, and you sort of go a bit deaf with it as well, because all
Yeah,
you
you
can
do.
hear is that frequency.
I liken it to. I mean, when I was a kid, because of the deafness in that ear, I had hearing tests for hearing aids when I was a kid, and I lost count. Seriously, it got stupid. It was, I'd be going once or twice a week for a bloody hearing test. God knows why they were doing that, but I would just go along for hearing tests, and they put the tones in your ear.
Mm.
So the ones that get to the level where they're perhaps what's the word I'm looking for? Is it subsonic or the wrong choice of word? But it's so high pitched, you have to sit there and try and figure out and press the little button as to whether you can actually hear it or not. If you go down a couple of notches, that's what I've got constantly going in my ear. So it's this continuous high pitched, like you've described with the TV whistle, if you like, or
Yeah.
continuously on the go, and it's bloody annoying at the moment.
I mean, getting back on track with that whole awakening journey side of
Yeah,
things, which we started talking about, that is
yeah,
like
we did.
part of it for everyone. Is I think a lot of people end up having some sort of like physical symptoms. I mean, I remember doing a video on that about 5 awakening symptoms or whatever, but one of them being the ringing is such a thing, and it's usually because I remember asking about it. It's usually because they're monkeying around with you up there,
Right.
because they know it's time essentially for you to move up a level
Yeah.
on your development and
Yeah.
your spiritual journey, because they think, I guess you could say, they think it's safe for you to become more aware of things, and maybe if you saw a couple of spooky things here and there, you wouldn't be so scared of it.
Oh, please!
Yeah.
The dreaming has gone through the roof. But we
Well, there
discussed this
you
the
go
other day.
then.
Yeah, dreaming is going stupid. Absolutely ridiculous amounts of dreaming. So and the type of dreaming as well. It's off to sleep, dream, wake up, back to sleep, dream, wake up, back to sleep, dream, wake up, and it's continuous, and it just doesn't stop, doesn't let up. And you and I talked a couple of days ago about it, and you helpfully gave me some insights into what some interpretations and that. But yeah, let's get back to what's the good stuff that's coming, because let's give people a little bit of hope here, because everybody in this little universe that we sit in, talking about things like this spiritual world, everybody's saying the same thing. There's some bloody good stuff on the way. There's some absolutely amazing stuff on the way. You just got to open your mind, open your heart, and get yourself in there, and and believe it, and know it, and let it come to you.
It's one of them things where right now it all feels really rubbish. Like,
Yeah.
people sort of holding on to this thing where everything in the world is really crap and that nothing's getting better, when I think people just need to remember that there's not just good people on this world fighting for us. There's our loved ones on the other side doing the exact same thing. And it's not just, besides the spiritual warfare, it's them just watching over us and, showering us with love. And, when they need to sort of interfere in our lives to keep us on track, they will go out their way to do it. It's just as simple as that. And right now it sometimes does feel a bit crap, and we sort of say, well, don't focus on it, but I mean, even us fall victim to that. I do it daily. Sometimes I do sort of fall victim to feeling a bit crap about things, but that is just human nature. And that's fine, it's normal. But it's just knowing that December's going to be a big month. And the way they sort of got it across to us was, this Christmas is going to be the lightest and brightest Christmas that we've had in a very long time.
That's interesting.
And it's because it's, looking at the corruption that's going on in this world will be held accountable. Mm-hmm. Things will start coming out, and it's going to be like a domino effect. Once it starts, it's never going to stop.
Yep.
And that's what was coming across to us. But I think one of the main reasons why they were saying it's going to be such a lovely Christmas is because we're going to be spending Christmas with our loved ones and family. And they're saying that is what really matters more.
Yep.
And people need to really hold on to that. Because, I mean, I've seen people saying, Christmas is going to be crap this year because of what's going on. It's like, well, no, it's not. Because you've got loved ones, you've got family. And if you don't have family and loved ones, well, you've got an online community. I mean, you've got us. You've got all these wonderful people there. Mm-hmm. So look at it that way. And that'll only keep growing, because I think that's the most important thing they got across is this Christmas really is going to be a big one, because it's the way I would sort of think about it, and the thing that always comes to my mind is it's sort of unfolding and tying it up all at the same time. So it's like when you it's exactly like when you get a present on Christmas with the bow.
Yeah.
Sort of unwrapping it, and it all comes out and all falls down. The wrapping just falls off, and it is then exposed. But at the same time, it's all being tied up again because it's all coming together. That's the way I sort of see this, is it is essentially all being exposed, but then it's all coming together, because it's all going to then start to make sense and be really positive. And I think it's just going to be positive for everyone, because once people are going to start thinking more positively about things. And once you start doing that, like you said, the law of attraction, once you start doing that, you just, suck it all in, and it all comes to you. And I think more and more people are starting to realize that. And that is what is just going to really make a big difference.
Yep.
I'm not saying it's just going to be limited to December, from now. But December's just going to be a big point where it's just going to be full of a lot of positivity, and it's just going to be overwhelming, and from there it can only get bigger.
It's going to get huge. It's going to get huge over the course of the next few years. If for anybody that's listening, if you haven't watched or listened to a guy called Juan O'Savin, go and do a search and have a listen to something. You won't see his face. He never shows his face, but he's interviewed by quite a lot of people. Go and have a listen. You want a positive kick up the backside, go and have a listen to Juan O'Savin and see what he's got to say, because they're going to be kicking some backside. It's okay to promote another channel on here, isn't it?
It's fine.
Michael Jaco did an interview with him.
Michael Jaco's another good one to watch in terms of even if you're not watching it, just listening to it, because I mean, I listened to it and he knows stuff, but also it's one of them things like that we strive to be, is you're just listening to someone, it's like they're there just talking to you. So it's one of them things as well.
How can people, because my understanding is we've all got ability. We've got an ability. It's all there. It's innate. We're built in within us. So how can people tap in to that? And what can they do?
Just start having an open mind as the first point. Like I said, a lot of people assume that to start developing your abilities, you have to put so much time into doing it and go out your way to do all these new age
meditate.
fangledy-dangledy things that in reality you don't need to do. If his first step is just be more open-minded, especially like an example would be like, if you believe that once you die, that is it, you're in a coffin and you're rotting away, I think that's quite a depressing way to look at life. But maybe turn that around and think, well, I am a person with a really unique personality. We all are really unique. So there must be something going on that means once we die, we go back to some place, or something must happen to this unique part of us inside. It's as simple as being more open-minded. So for people to start really developing their abilities, I guess just have an open mind. And if you're sort of wanting to actively develop it, the biggest thing, and I think my dad would back me up 100%, is form a circle. Find a circle you can join. And it doesn't have to be a physical circle. You could even just do it. Me and my dad did it over Skype for ages. You can even just join like a Zoom circle.
Because it's not limited to a physical.
No, it's not. It's just
physical space. That's all part of opening.
It's good to be in a physical space and do it, because then you're with them people and you can build the energies a lot better. But just, find others who are on the same wavelength, who are going through the same things. See if you can form a circle. I mean, find a spiritualist centre near you. If there is one near you, start going there. I mean, they'll do online stuff. My local spiritualist centre does online open circles and online readings and online stuff. So just find it. And it's one of them things where if you show up and you join and take part and it is not for you, then you've done it, you can do your own stuff at home. Stuff as simple as just sitting quietly and seeing what actually comes to you, what feelings you get beyond your physical senses, sort of what comes to, what images flash in your mind, what can you hear, what can you sort of maybe smell. Tap into, as much as it's tapping into your physical senses, it's tapping into your physical senses that they go beyond the three-dimensional world. So it's as simple as sitting quietly and doing that, and as well actually asking, because ask for things to happen, ask to actively ask the universe, ask your loved ones. As simple as, please could you show me that you're with me. And it's not something that happens within an instant. It could happen a week later, a month later. But you'll know that you asked for that, and that you've got some sort of proof that they're watching over you. And I think just practicing anything and everything, like, everyone's got something that they will be better at than other things. For me, it's sort of things related to dreams and astral sort of things. I mean, I'm still working on astral projection. What if I could bloody remember where I go? That would be great. but dreams and like getting messages in dreams is my sort of thing, and automatic writing as well is my strength. And whereas my dad is very direct communication, he can do that. Same with my mum, she's really good at direct communication.
Well,
But
I'm going to be getting in a car and driving up to see you guys in the next
yeah,
few months because I want
that'd
to.
be awesome.
I would love to sit in and on one of these. Alpha.
And but yeah, everyone has their own own thing. It's just figuring it out, and all you have to do is, maybe you might say one day, I'd love to try astral projection. I'd
Yeah.
love to try lucid dreaming.
Mm.
Well, then maybe, you just start by practicing it, and then you might turn around and think, actually, I didn't quite like that. So
Mm.
then you pick something else, and it might be, crystals.
Yeah.
So using crystals and healing crystals, or doing Reiki, or doing tarot cards. Like, some people might be really, you might have you figure out that you have a really deep love for doing tarot cards. You don't have to be doing any readings. It could just be doing very general readings, because you can do loads of stuff for that.
Well, you
It's
did that for
just,
me the other day, didn't you?
yeah,
Yeah,
put
that
me
was
on the spot a bit there, but
yeah.
yeah, I did
No,
that.
putting you on the spot just like that. Do one for me,
It's,
just like right
yeah,
there and
it's
then.
practice.
Yeah,
It's just, if people sort of realize the first step is having an open mind, and
yeah,
then from there, once they get that urge to really sort of maybe start exploring things, there isn't really anything that me telling you should do. I
no,
can't. It's a personal thing. I mean, if someone was to tell you, you have to do this, you have to do that, I would base, in my opinion, if someone told me
get up and walk away.
I would just say, well, no, because it's not the same for everyone. It's self-discovery at the end of
Yeah.
the day. That is the whole point. We're here to learn. This is why we're
Yes,
on
we are.
Earth.
Yes, we
So
are.
you can't. It's not like
Can
picking
I
up a book.
can I add something to the mix as well?
Yes.
With regard, because you've given a lot of great advice there. I'd like to chuck into the mix from a physical point of view.
Yeah.
Work with your body, especially you understand your circadian biology. Please, we're affected by light, we're affected by non-light, we're affected by the food that we eat. It's not just your body. You have light receptor cells in your eyes that instruct your body. You have certain glands in your body to produce certain hormones and chemicals. Understand how they work and what they do, and work with your body. At this time of the year, I'm finding myself at 7 o'clock in the evening, 6, 7 o'clock in the evening, because it's got dark at around 4 or 5 o'clock. Actually, ignore the fucking clock. Best thing you can do with a clock is just get it off the fucking wall and chuck it in the bin. But work with your circadian biology. I'm finding that I'm sleeping a lot more, and if I don't go to sleep, I put a light on or a lamp on or something like that. That sparks the body back up. That gets the body to produce certain chemicals that will wake you back up again. That puts your body in a stress state. If you're in a stress state, we discussed this last time around, if you're in a stress state, that's going to cause you problems as well. Understand your circadian biology, work with it, and go with it. Don't fight against it. And that
How
will
can
also,
people do that? What would your advice be for people
well,
to
I
be able
mean,
to do that?
the best thing to do is there's a great book written by a guy called Dr. Sachin Panda. It's called The Circadian Code. That is a great place to start. But it's just understanding that your body works on, it's called, other people will know it as your body clock. So your body will wake up when it's ready to wake up, because it will naturally do that based on light or based on its internal clock. And your body will tell you when it's time to go to sleep, because certain biochemicals kick in, certain glands produce biochemicals that instruct the body to do that. Your organs in your body, they have their own circadian rhythm and circadian body clock as well. So for example, if my memory serves me correct, it's been a while since I read the book, but your gut has a circadian rhythm, and it will literally clock out at certain times. And if you eat after certain times, and that's for you to figure out and find out for yourself. If you eat at certain times, you instruct your gut to, which is shut down, to kick back in and do its job again, and it's already clocked out for the day. So when you do that, it has, so if you eat food that produces glucose, glucose goes into the bloodstream. It's toxic to the human body, so it must be removed. It must be removed. So then that sparks the pancreas up to produce insulin, to grab the glucose out of your blood system and stick it in your cells. Well, when insulin comes out, that is an antagonist to what's the word? What's the melatonin, which is the instructional hormone that tells you go to sleep. So if you've got melatonin and insulin having a good old scrap, then also your body is producing cortisol, which is a stress hormone. That is an antagonist to melatonin as well. So that prevents you from going to sleep. That puts you in a stress state. That's causing damage to your body. If your body's getting damaged, then you're not functioning correctly. So just understanding all these little things like that and working with your body will help you to do what Em has just said, about having an open mind and coming from your heart and the things that she's talked about. So figure it out, people. Don't fight against your body. Let it do its job. I know it's difficult in a modern age, but this is the world that we're moving into. And this, in my opinion, is where our species is heading towards. Working with our circadian biology and working with that, not against it anymore, because they have pushed us in that direction for a long time, and their reign is coming to an end, so we can move ourselves back into the way that we have been ancestrally, from a hunter-gatherer species or living on the land. If you want, in the book itself, it says if you want to reset your circadian biology, go out wild camping for a week. Go out wild camping, get away from fake light, unnatural light, get away from the TV, get away from shit food, and just follow what the sunlight does and the day says, and eat food, species appropriate food for your body, and let your body do its work. And then around the week,
essentially grounding yourself there.
Yeah, it is.
It's basically just grounding yourself, which I think on any awakening journey is really important.
Speaking of which, grounding, I know what type of grounding you're talking about. Get your shoes off. Get your shoes off, or put your hand on the ground. Yeah, you are an electrical being, and the ground will work in conjunction with you. It will help you to reset things. 3 things occur when you ground your body. You get a massive release of dopamine. The insulin, the immune system gets a serious kick up the arse, and your blood, which generally clumps together if you're not grounded, will free itself up, allowing oxygen to be transported around your body more efficiently, and nutrients as well. Get grounded. I sleep grounded every night. I showed you my little grounding cable with a rig. I sleep grounded every night.
I mean, when I was younger, I used to have a thing, and when it got to about summertime, spring, summer, I used to have a thing about sleeping outside on the grass during the day.
Do it.
And I was obsessed with it. I just felt I need to go outside and sleep on the grass. And I tell you something, guys, other than maybe a few creepy crawlies lingering about, crawling on you, it is one of the greatest things to do. So
sleep like a log, don't you?
You just pass out. And especially with when the sun's out, you just under the sun, do it, because it is recharging. Very good.
Yeah, we've just, we've gotten this thing about, the creepy crawlies. Oh, getting bitten and covering yourself with that, what's that crap fucking stuff that you spray? DEET. All that shit spray to prevent yourself from getting bitten. I'm a magnet for, and I mean a magnet, God, Jesus, for mosquitoes. I'm a magnet for them. But, and ticks as well. Jesus
Oh
Christ.
my God.
Oh, ticks drive me absolutely insane. But I'd rather do that. I'd rather be out in the woods, getting some camping done, some wild camping with a big fire at night, and then drifting off to sleep and letting the fire die down. Nothing finer. Absolutely.
I mean, I've had run-ins with spiders, but it's always ends up being inside the house. My Uncle Andrew likes to really play pranks on me all the time when he gets the opportunity. I mean, one time I was getting ready, it was at the weekend, I was trying to find some trousers to put on, and I'd gone into my dad's room and I was just putting my trousers on, and they were on the floor, and I was picking them up, and I picked them up, and I sort of, there was something in my hand, and I sort of was like, oh, what's that? That's weird. Opened my hand and I picked up a whole huge spider. It was crunched up in my hand, and me and my dad had looked at each other, and I sort of went, I just screamed, and he threw it across, and this little spider then, massive, biggest spider I've seen in my life, ran scuttling off, and we both looked at it, and my dad just started he was absolutely creased. And I said, well, where the hell did that spider come from? Because it just came out of nowhere. And the first thing, my dad turned to me and he said, I already know it was you, Uncle Andrew. He did it. Yeah. He does. I mean, he's done stuff before, like my wardrobe. In the morning, I was just laying in bed on my phone. I was being lazy, and I know I'm going off a little bit on a waffle, but it's just, I think it gets across that they are exactly like us. I was laying in bed, just on my phone, really lazy. I probably should have got up. It was like 8, 9 o'clock. Just laid there. My wardrobe door flung open by itself, and I mean really flung open with force. And I just sort of looked up and I was like, ooh. And then I thought, well, I think that means I should probably get out of bed. And I was like, and it's usually when things happen, I always get a flash of yellow in my head.
Yeah.
If it's to do with Uncle Andrew, because when I see my Uncle Andrew, he always wears a yellow jumper. So I always associate yellow with him. And anything that happens that's associated with him and he's done it, I just get yellow in my head, and straight away it was yellow, and I was like, thank
something
you.
Else. Yeah, I don't know how long we've been on, but it's something else. Just perhaps one more thing. Can we go into the toilet incident, or maybe not? So the incident is the wrong choice of words, but you saw
the toilet incident. It sounds like I've had some sort of accident.
This is perhaps the perfect example of, if you're seeing something, the toilet is the right place to be sat at that time.
My dad sees.
If you're gonna shit yourself,
I tell you something. Every time I've seen something very obvious and or an apparition, because I've seen a lot of apparitions in my life. It's always been going up and going to the toilet, because I think the thing is it's in the middle of the night when you're still very dazed. You know, when you go up to go for a pee in the middle of the night, you're still half asleep, so you're more in tune, and also you can't go anywhere, so it's not like you can run off. They basically have you where they want you to make it obvious. So was this the one where I saw something scary, or is this the one that...
Was it in your mum and dad's room? Because they leave the door open.
Yeah, because I've seen a couple of things in my mum and dad's room.
Yeah,
both times on the toilet. Yes, so
yeah.
I've seen a couple. Yeah. So the first one, now this is going back to GCSE, because there's a couple.
Right.
Tell both. When I was doing my GCSEs, I was in a really, really, really hard time, and I was stressed beyond belief. Probably my own fault, but there was one night when I was having a bath just before bed, and I was just crying in the bath like a bit of a drama queen, like, can't do it, oh, it's just so stressful, and just all that bollocks.
You're great, wet lettuce.
But also, I was kind of losing my faith a little bit in spirit at that time, and I was desperate for them to sort of show me something. I was literally like in tears, like, guys, please really do something now. Just show me that you're there for me, and it'll really... So I go to bed and get up in the middle of the night to go for a wee. And I sort of gone to the toilet, and I'm about to start walking back. And just for people to get a bit of perspective, from my room across the hallway is the bathroom. And when you're in the bathroom looking out, you can sort of see my parents' bedroom on the sort of right. And they have their door always quite ajar, so you can sort of see into the other side of the room where the windows and curtains are, which is... Yeah, so that's a bit of perspective. So when it sounds like I'm looking into their room from the toilet, it sounds a bit weird, but now it sort of makes sense. But I'd gone to the toilet, and I'm walking back to my room, and as I walk back, you can't not sort of peer through. You just kind of get drawn to it. As I sort of peered through when the door's ajar, in the far corner of the room, there was sort of something just stood there, and it was like I didn't really think much of it at the time. But when I got back in bed and laid down, I was playing it in my mind, and I was like, oh, it's just the desk, it's just the table, the side table next to the bed. But then I thought, when has a side table been 5 foot tall? Never. It's like, what? And I was thinking about it, and what I saw was, so it was a woman stood on her side. So I could only see her side of her face. She had really, really long black hair, and she was wearing a Victorian nightdress. And I couldn't see her face. And I think part of that was because they know if I saw a face, I would get more freaked out.
Right.
That's the way it always comes to me when I think of why I didn't see a face. But it was this woman, and I'd say she was probably 15, 16 years old, quite young, was the sense I got from it. But wearing this like one of them sort of blousy Victorian nightdressy sort of floaty things. She had really long black hair that went down to about here. And I was like, I've just seen, because I'd never seen anything like that before. And I just thought to myself, I've just seen a ghost, like, for real, physical. It's not like it was see-through. It was as if it was a human being stood there. And I knew for certain I wasn't seeing things because I kept thinking, I told my dad about it. And a bit of background is we knew exactly who it was. My brother, ever since he was little, has had not an invisible friend, but he's known a girl in our house called Lucy. And Lucy is a little girl who died and is my brother's spirit guide. And she was from the Victorian times, and she died of consumption. And she has always been watching over my brother. We even have a little teddy that we've put in my brother's room in the corner for her to sort of play with, and it's her teddy. But spirit can present themselves however they want to different people. So when my brother's seen her or associates, he sort of gets any sort of communication with her, it's always maybe a little girl, maybe 7, 8 years old, 9 years old. To me, when I saw her, and that's who I saw, Lucy, she comes across to me as 14, 15, 16 years old.
Sure.
Whereas when my dad, again, my mum has seen her in the house so many times, has seen a little girl running around upstairs and stuff. Same with my dad. He's seen a little girl stood at the side of the bed in the middle of the night, and he thought it was me, but then he looked a little close and it was a little girl with black hair and, stuff like that. So that was the first time on the toilet incident. The other time was a few weeks ago. It must have been 3-4 weeks ago, very recent. I'd gone to the toilet again in the middle of the night to go for a wee. I sat on the toilet, and sort of when I was sat on the toilet, again, from where you sat on the toilet, you can look into my parents' room, and they have their door ajar, so you could see into the other side. And there was a figure just stood there staring at me. And it was, how I would describe it is if people have seen the maybe like Woman in Black or Insidious scary film, but Woman in Black, where she's wearing a black dress and she's got like a veil on, and it's all like sort of poofy dress, but she was just stood staring at me, and I could see her face, and it was not a very nice face, just put it at that. It was quite scary. And I looked at it for a couple of seconds, realised what I was seeing, saw the face, and I got these terrible negative vibes from it, and my anxiety in my pit of my stomach my intuition was like, geez, this isn't good. So, and it was at a time when we were going through pretty turbulent times at home, but also sort of beanheads and idiots on the other side, darker stuff was sort of going after us a lot more.
Sure.
I got very bad vibes from it, and my reaction was slowly close the toilet door and pretend it's not there. Yeah, but
at least you were sat in the right place.
Yeah, but
that's the key thing.
yeah, exactly. The next day, I sort of told my dad about it, and I said, right, something's happened in the middle of the night that I saw.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you about, because my dad, usually when he has spooky stuff happen to him, it's sort of, I always then have something happen to me, and we always have a similar sort of experience. And he was having a lot of health issues, and he was genuinely believing it was because something was bothering him. So once he'd done a lot of prayer work and stuff like that, he was right as rain. But I was saying, I saw a woman in the room, and I'll show you what I saw. So I tried to, this is the thing, which we can't explain. People will say, well, maybe you're just seeing things. It's like, well, I can't explain it. It doesn't make sense. Because on my dad's, in my parents' room, on the sort of where I saw the woman stood, is a ramp for my dog to get on the bed. So it's physically impossible for anyone to stand there. You would have to be stood at some weird angle, and you wouldn't be able to physically stand there because there's not enough room to. She would have had to basically have been floating to be able to be there. It makes no sense that there was any. I mean, I went to my dad and said, I'll show you where she stood. And then when I realised that I couldn't even stand there, I was like, well, I can't, because that's in the way. So to me, that was like what I saw.
Whoa.
It makes no sense. It makes no sense whatsoever. And so, I mean, every time I've usually seen something, I've been on the toilet or in the bathroom, or just finished having a wee. Yeah.
That'd be me. That'd be me. Toilet roll, paper shortage.
I mean, another story for you. This is a final. I don't want to. There's so many I could say, but this was another one that was. I mean, I genuinely, my heart stopped a little bit. So, a bit of context. I know it sounds weird, but sort of closer to Christmas, me and my brother have always had a tradition. Don't worry, we don't really do it anymore because we're too old. Where, because I have a double bed, on Christmas Eve and around Christmas, he will always sleep in my bed, and we always used to watch the Santa tracker on my iPad, and we'd stay up really late and watch Christmas films, and he'd sleep in my bed on Christmas Eve, and because we're just so excited about Christmas, and you always just stay up and want to watch Santa tracker. So I know it sounds weird, people might think that's a very weird thing to do, but I don't know what to tell you. It's family tradition, I guess. But anyways, this was maybe, God, this is a few years ago now. It was the middle of the, sort of, it was about 4 a.m. My brother usually gets too excited and he wakes up and he goes on his iPad. And back then, I used to be very scared of the dark because a lot of spooky stuff was happening to me. And so he got up and he said, oh, I need a wee. I'm going to go to the toilet. And he had the iPad on as a light. And I was like, oh, please can I come with you? Because I'm really scared. I'll go to the toilet after you. And all that sort of rubbish. But he got up and I looked towards the door, and it was still there's slightly ajar, and there was a bit of light coming through. And I saw a boy sort of walking. And I was like, oh, Fred. And I started getting up and was panicking. I was like, Fred, wait for me. And then I heard a voice to the right of me say, what? I've not moved. And I turned and my brother was still sat there. So it's like, who did I see walking towards my bedroom door? Because he was right there.
Yeah.
So I was like, I turned and looked to my brother and I was like, but you were just, and he was like, I've been sat here the whole time. I was like, but no, I just saw you walk. And then he was like, what are you on about, Emily? And I was like, but you were a boy. There was a boy, and it was a silhouette of a boy walking, and it was you. And he was like, I've been sat here the whole time. I haven't moved. But then I was replaying it in my mind, and then that's when it freaked me out even more, is what I saw wasn't a boy walking to the door. It was a boy, the silhouette of a boy, walking towards me, walking towards the bed. And once I realised that, I was shitting myself even more. I was like, he was walking towards me. Oh. So then after that, I said, I won't think about it. And my brother started freaking out because he was like, you've just seen a ghost. You've just seen a ghost. And I was like, Fred, let's just go to the toilet and let's just go, guys. Let's not have to think about it. And my brother was like, don't tell me anymore.
The other thing we had a chat about the other day, we were talking about as well, is I said I've had a lot, not recently, not in the last, for quite some time, but I used to have a lot of deja vu.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, a lot. God, so much deja vu. Could you, give me your interpretation of what deja vu is, from your perspective?
Tying this in with what our original thing was with awakening and the awakening journey.
Yeah.
Is once you start, I think, on my journey of awakening, and like you said, it'll time with yours, you have a lot more deja vu. Like, it happens more often than normal. When you start going through this spiritual development, is you have so much deja vu. And all like them dreams where you sort of have like, you sort of seems like you see the future sort of thing, or it's happened before. Well, deja vu, I remember sort of looking into it, as some people say it is a spiritual ability, in terms of it is genuinely people being able to tap in to, if you dream of something before it happens and then feel it, it's because you have literally had an ability to sort of have a bit of, was it like foresight or future sight or whatever.
Foresight's a good word, yeah.
Some people have sort of said, and I sort of believe this a lot more now, it's when you sort of tap into another timeline or another sort of realm or whatever you want to call it, you sort of have a little slip where things have sort of overlapped and you've been able to see into that. So like, I remember one sort of thing of having a conversation, dreaming about having a conversation with my mum about Hoovers one day. And we had that exact conversation a couple of days later, word for word, what I dreamed about. And I was, get that feeling, you're like, this has happened before, I've dreamt about it, what is happening? But it makes sense that it is tapping in because of the way I've read, someone described it is, say, like I said to you before, it's kind of complicated to get your head around, but you come home, you take your coat off, you go in the kitchen, you get some coffee, and then you do whatever.
Yeah,
and
you switch on the TV and you go, the news is going to come on in a minute and they're going to say this.
Yeah,
and it happens. It's, for me, I haven't dreamt it. I've not dreamt, I've done it.
Yeah, but the thing I get with that is, it's one example someone had given, talking about how it's sort of timelines, is that you have slipped into the timeline and you're kind of aware of it, in terms of, say you come home, you take your coat off, you go to the kitchen, you have coffee, done, that's it, whatever. You do the same thing, you come home, you go another day, you come home, take your coat off, go have coffee, but then you have deja vu during that. When you're making a coffee, you have deja vu. And he said, someone had sort of explained it as, it's like a timeline slip, because in another timeline you have taken your coat off, gone into the kitchen. Between the time of you making a coffee, you actually just did something else.
Right.
So maybe you took some milk out of the fridge before you did the coffee. And at that point, you in this timeline have kind of tapped into that whilst you're making the coffee, and you get that urge of, I've done this before. And it's kind of saying that, because in different timelines is basically every possibility and choice you don't make happens in another timeline. In another timeline, I didn't wear this hoodie and you didn't wear that jumper, we wore something else. You know what I mean? But there's,
for me, it's I would, when I had incidences of deja vu, it would be a case of I'm on the path to doing something.
Yeah.
Before I get to what I'm doing, I would go, I've done this before. I know exactly what the outcome is going to be. And then,
This
bang, job done.
because, like I said, some people, the way I like to sort of think about it now, and other people have suggested, is you are literally tapping into another timeline where there is that outcome, but you've done things a little differently, hence why it feels like you've done it before. Because, like, I think it's difficult for humans to understand this, is that the 3D world is limited by this concept of time.
Yeah.
Beyond this 3D world, time is not linear. Time is literally up, down, left, right.
Right. Yeah.
Everything is happening is within a
Everywhere.
second. Everywhere, yeah. Everything is happening within a second. So within that, in another timeline, you've probably done something in the future that hasn't happened yet in this timeline, but as well, your past was a little different, and it's all happening at the same time. So hence why you've sort of, some could say that once you've had that foresight, like you said, if you know exactly the outcome before you've done the steps in between, you've sort of slipped into a timeline where that's already happened.
Sure.
If that makes sense. So it's kind of like one of them things where it's like an onion, like, in Shrek, onions have layers. It's the same sort of thing here, where everything is all piled up on top of each other and overlapping, and sometimes it all sort of comes slightly closer. That's the way I sort of think deja vu is. I mean, scientists have tried to say it's just your brain chemicals doing a thing, but it's so much more than that.
Yeah, but given what we're all learning, what's coming, and what's coming through to us, especially through for people like yourself saying what's going on, and other people on the internet, the Michael Jacobs, and other people that that I'm watching. But anyway, how long have we rabbited on for? Because we've been going
a good
for some
while.
time.
I think let's do sort of like a wrap up of
cool.
The main sort of message. I mean, I'll go. We sort of started on it. I know we seem to have diverted into several different things, but I think it all wraps up nicely in terms of.
Well, that's the good thing, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good because you can always find a way.
Yeah.
In terms of, like, we started with a spiritual awakening journeys and sort of went into how our journeys were, our constant personal development and spiritual development. I think the message I'd like to get across is, some people watching this might think, well, where do I sign up? Or where do I start? And like we said, it's as simple as having an open mind. The awakening journey isn't something that happens overnight. It's for everyone. I mean, for my dad, it's 20 years plus. For me, it's ever since I was little, and I'm still learning. And I think with what's coming in the future, more people will be heading on to their path and discovering different things they didn't realize they would be thinking about, things that sound absolutely insane, like I've talked about aliens today. We've talked about free technology that isn't, subterranean warfare, ships, all these things that sound absolutely insane, is because our human brains can't comprehend it. But at the same time, that's all part of my awakening journey. And throughout this whole thing, and I think it is the most important part for me personally, I have just had to have a very accepting and open mind.
Yep.
And like you've hit on so many times, and we've both gone on about it, is your intuition, is just trust yourself. Because
trust yourself.
Going into these things, if you do not trust what the information you're receiving, and you don't put faith in yourself and have confidence is what you're getting is right, what you're doing is developing you'll get nowhere if you don't trust it. Because you're just putting a mental and spiritual barrier in front of yourself. So just trust yourself and have an open mind, and then, you know, trust me, things will start blossoming. And like I say about Who's Afraid here, like, I am waiting for the day for him to turn around to me and say, Emily, something spooky has really happened to me. And I am praying for that day, because it's a wonderful day.
So am I.
So what's your message to the people?
Flipping heck, that's a good one.
Put you on the spot now.
Yeah, as you, well, you know, we do that to each other. Go and listen to the song "Nothing Else Matters" by Metallica.
Oh, that's a good song.
Open mind for a different view. Never cared for what they say, never cared for what they do, and so on. And you know the lyrics.
Yeah,
go and listen to that. And I, you know, I'm going to back up what Em said. Is let it go. Just seriously, let it go. On the physical side, I talked about the circadian biology. Work with that. Find out about you. Learn how you work. Figure out how you work, and work with that. And go with that. And just come from here.
All in the heart.
All the time. Come from here. All right. And that will just go. And everything will fall into place. What's it Bruce Lee says? Don't look at the finger or you will miss. Or look up or you will miss. Oh, the heavenly glory. Brilliant. Love it. Yeah. Enter the dragon. Yeah. Don't look at the finger. Look up. That's my advice.
Awesome. So I think we should say is, like we were going to say, is about from now we're going to be looking at getting some guests on, aren't we?
Yes, we are. Yeah. If you want to jump in and come on and have a right old good laugh with us, and a cup of coffee or whatever it is you chuck down your neck, it's entirely your choice. Don't get pissed, because we don't want you levered on screen. But if you want to come on and have a gas with us, we would really love you to come on and have some fun with us, and just let it flow, let the conversation go in whatever direction it takes. We're not scripted, we're not going to be wearing ties, we're not going to be a production crew behind us.
I'm in my bedroom, sat here, and you
couldn't give a shit. You know, we're not bothered about that. If I keep pushing, you know, my friend said, Key, you take your glass up, keep pushing your glass up. Every time I push my glasses up, I want you to hear this in your head. Da, 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 da. Up and away. Come on and have some fun.
Who we
got? We got Pat Walsh. We're going to get Pat Walsh on. He's a good guy on Twitter.
If you know Shelby on Twitter, she's looking to come on. We've got
him up north. I'm looking forward to
him up north. We've got him lined up. All these people are lined up and ready to go. I mean, we don't put pressure on people to just expect that we're going to have them on, you know, next day. We're not. If you want time in between to do research, or you're busy, then that's fine. And if you turn around and say, I've changed my mind, that's equally fine. Or if you want to come on about 5 times, come on as much as you want.
Come on as many as you like. If you want to come on, you know, you really enjoyed yourself and you want to come on and have a yap.
If you want to talk, you know, if
one
day you want to talk about, you know, your personal experiences, or even your personal story and what you've been through, and anything. And then the next time you want to talk about aliens, or it could be anything, what you're passionate about, even anything at all. We're more than happy to have you come on, and just come and talk to us and natter to us, because
come on and let your light shine.
Let your light shine and tell us things, because it'll be stuff that me and you won't know anything about.
Absolutely.
So we're here to learn and we're here to listen. That is most important.
Yep.
It's this is not going to be like one of them typical, you know, podcast interviews where people are sat there asking questions and it's all formal. It is just us two and you, when you come on, having just a natter. Yeah.
Just a yap.
So please get in touch with us.
Yeah. And with
before you're getting ahead of yourself, where can people get in touch with you?
Twitter.
Exactly.
At Who's Afeared. I mean, that's the main battleground at the moment. I'm on Parler as well. I'm on Gab as well, but I'm not active in any way there.
Twitter.
When
Yeah.
the Twitter sphere goes down, which, you know, if it does, fantastic, great stuff. But that's where you can get me in here on Dare to Talk.
Yeah, so you can get in touch with me, the same. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, but Twitter is the main place where you can get in touch with me at DareToFly777. If you are really interested in more carnivore things and pictures of food, I am also on Instagram, so a lot of people got in touch with me there, which is dare.tofly777. And also my email as well, captain@dare-to-fly.co.uk is another good way to get in touch if you really want to reach out through there. So yeah, just follow us and make sure to subscribe to this channel. We'll be doing these podcasts weekly, and from now is guests. So get on seriously, because we want to hear from you.
Yeah, and the more guests we get, the more frequently we will get as well. So
Exactly.
if you don't want to listen to us, fine, we won't do it. Yeah, but then don't frequent yourself here. But we will get them frequent, and we look forward to catching up with you all.
Yep. So make sure you like this video, share it with others, subscribe down below, and get in touch with us, because we can't wait to hear from you. So final thoughts on that is lots of love, and I will say stay true, stay awake, stay blessed. Lots of love from me to you, and as always, fly high, fear less.